Premium Blend is sponsored by the energy practice of BDO, providing assurance, tax, and consulting services across the upstream, midstream, downstream, and services segments of the industry around the world. People who know energy know BDO.
The Utica for us is a combination of very wet Utica, which is to the west, gets drier as you go east. It's basically pure 97% methane as you're along the Ohio River. We've now crossed the river, and we've drilled Utica over in West Virginia. So we have the most southeastern Utica well in the entire play. That's the Stewart Windland well in Tyler County, West Virginia. And that was one of the largest wells reported. So we feel good about it. We know that the Utica exists further south. You know, our concern is as you go further south, you're going to be deeper. You're concerned about hitting volcanics. You're going to hit H2S or CO2 or all the nasties that come with a deeper horizon. We haven't seen it yet. We didn't see a trace of it in the Stewart Windland, and we were concerned about that. Our dry Utica wells are running in the 35 to 45% IR range based on 275, 280 gas. The dry is undoubtedly better return because NGLs are in the tank, and you don't have to spend all the equipment money on the surface and go through a processing plant to extract those liquids. It's basically a lot of expense over not getting much for. So being able to put on a dry Utica well and just tie it right into pipelines is pretty important today. Our biggest well was the Stewart Windland well. It was a Utica well in Tyler County, West Virginia. It came at 46.8 million cubic feet of gas a day. Now, as I sit here today, we probably won't announce big IPs again. We think that there's a possibility that you damage the reservoir some by opening these wells up. So we're typically, it'll be a 15, 20, 25 million a day type well, and keep them choked back. We think it just protects the integrity of the reservoir more. So no question, this area, you can put on 50 million a day wells. It's just the pressure's there, the porosity, permeability, resistivity, you know, it's just got it all. So that's what we love about the region. And so we got to get better at, you know, completing the wells, and, you know, we're learning. You know, like, as I said, we're in the second inning of a 9-inning game in this presentation today, and we're all still learning. Our largest pad is 18 wells. We have 8 Marcellus, 10 Utica on that pad as a potential. The good and bad of it. The great is that's efficient because you have 18 wells on a pad. The bad news is we're very concerned about drilling a well and producing a well at the same time. There's risk associated from a safety standpoint. And so, you know, we have 6 wells on, so we got to shut in all those 6 wells to drill the others. And so we're changing that thought process up to maybe more 4 to 6 well pads where we would maybe drill 3 wells and book the rest as PUDs and move on. So, you know, part of our growth strategy is to build proved undeveloped reserves. And that's the more efficient way to do that. We've tested a lot. We drilled 3 wells on the Stalder pad, which is up in Monroe County, Ohio. And we used 3 different type of proppants, regular sand, resin-coated sand, and ceramics, just to kind of, 3 wells beside each other to kind of test. And what we thought was our conclusion before we did it turned out being our conclusion, which we can use regular sand or some resin-coated, but we don't need ceramics. So the cost of ceramics versus the risk-reward is just not there. Now, one of the concerns is you go further out laterally and you have to drill out those plugs, that you have to put coiled tubing or stick pipe in the well to retrieve those plugs. And that's where you start running into risk, because if you're 8,000 foot out laterally and you got 30 plugs out there, you know, that last plug out there, you can mess up your whole hole. So there's a lot of new dissolvable plugs out today. And I actually learned a lot about that at this conference, and where they're being tried in other areas. Now, they require a certain temperature. You have to have over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which we do in the Utica. And so these plugs will dissolve. You don't have to use a cold tubing unit to retrieve them. So there's those type of new technologies that are coming out that's going to make our business, you know, much more efficient and continue to reduce the risk.
To learn more about this topic and others, check out this month's print edition or the daily updates on this website.